She's all right when you get to know her. This is my podcast, and it takes you from your restrictive, toxic, life-limiting 9 to 5 into a life on your terms, full of freedom and flexibility as a self-employed virtual assistant. So whether this is your first introduction into the possibility of becoming a VA, or perhaps you've been doing a bit of Googling already, I'm going to get rid of the overwhelm, rid of the self-doubt, and show you that this life is possible. I've not just started this rodeo, you know. I'm Catherine Gladwyn, and I've been doing what you think is impossible since 2015. Shall we get started? So, you're thinking about becoming a virtual assistant? Let me guess what life might be like for you right now. You wake up exhausted before the day's even started. You'd never really seem to have a good night's sleep. Your brain never switches off, even when you're on holiday or enjoying the weekend. You know, that little voice in the back of your head is getting louder as Sunday approaches. You got to go back to work soon. You just never seem to just zen. There's no time out, ever, is there? And if you've got children, there definitely isn't any time out. You're just constantly thinking about the next thing you got to do, the next thing you got to fit in before you go back to work. And it's not just, you know, whether you're working 10 till 2, 9 till 5, whatever it is, it's never just those hours. You got to get there. You got to think about getting there. You got to waste your whole lunch break by getting the food shopping or something for tea that night. No time is your own when you're working as an employee. And then if you're in a toxic environment, you're constantly thinking about that after hours as well. And they're not paying you for that, are they? You've probably got an app on your phone counting down to your next day off. And I bet any money you know when the bank holidays are. And if you're anything like I was back in 2015, you're thinking, is this seriously it? Forever? Are the best years of my life going to be like this? So if that was you, like I said, 10 years ago, it was me. You're not lazy. You're not ungrateful. You're just stuck in a 9 till 5 that's eating up your time, your energy, your freedom, your life. And that's exactly why I chose to make it easy for women just like you to quit corporate and design their own career as a self-employed virtual assistant. And I think that's probably why you found this podcast, because you're already looking at becoming a virtual assistant. So I don't need to convince you. And I'm pretty sure you've probably done a bit of Googling about becoming a virtual assistant, and you might be feeling one of these 3 things, maybe all of them. It's too good to be true, isn't it? Hey? £35 an hour? It's a scam. It's got to be a scam. It's an MLM. Or a pyramid scheme. Yeah, it's definitely a pyramid scheme, hiding in a Quality Street orange crunch wrapper. You know, you can't polish a turd, that kind of thing. No, it is none of those things. But I thought all of those things when I was researching how to be a virtual assistant back in 2015 and getting myself totally overwhelmed. I'd have some hours where I'd be like, oh my God, I am going to do this. And then I'd have other hours where I'd be, I'm not looking at that again because it is definitely a scam. There's no way it is true. I totally relate. I can totally relate. You know, back in 2015, this was me, right? In a 9 till 5 in an office with no opening windows. None of them opened because the building was built with aircon, but the aircon never worked. And so it got really stuffy in there. So what we would do is we used the fire extinguisher to prop the fire door open. I know. And then there was Mark, or Billy Bullshit, as I like to call him. Billy was committing fraud in the company, a government-run organisation, by the way, a quango. I uncovered the fraud, and I fought hard for someone to listen to me. Eventually they did listen, and I was reminded that I signed an NDA and told that I was probably only highlighting it because I wanted a payoff. I didn't get a payoff, by the way. I didn't ask for a payoff. I just wanted Billy Bullshit to stop taking money from taxpayers. And then there was Claire, racist outbursts in the office. I was warned that she could be racist. What the fuck? You don't warn somebody that somebody else is racist. You stop the racist. No one ever addressed it until I did. Just as loud as she could be. She eventually disappeared. I think she was paid off to go. It was absolutely toxic in there. And then I had a recurring dry cough. And of course, I started Googling that as well. And of course it came up as, middle toe cancer and all sorts of things. But that cough went within a week of me leaving. So combine all of that stress in the 9 till 5 with my chronic health issues. I got a pituitary brain tumour. I got Addison's disease. I had no pension. I had no savings. I had a mortgage. I had no prior business experience. And I was solely financially responsible for my daughter. All of that on paper, you'd think I was absolutely mad to start looking seriously at becoming a self-employed virtual assistant and giving up the safe 9 till 5. I'm putting safe in inverted commas because if you're around my age, I'm now in my 49th year. When I was, early 20s, I could walk in and out of jobs. Like I could leave a job on a Friday and walk into another job on a Monday. And I would choose how long to stay there. I did loads of temping because I just get bored of places. And jobs were safe. There was no fear of having to send off 100 CVs and maybe not even get an interview out of that. Jobs just aren't safe anymore. If I'd have put all the things that I had going on in my life out there in a TED talk or something, the audience would have gone, no, honestly, don't look at becoming a virtual assistant. But I wasn't happy. I was not happy. I had always hated being employed, always. But my life has changed beyond anything I could have ever imagined. And I'm not going to sit here and say, because I'm now a multimillionaire, I'm not, by the way. It's changed my happiness, my stress levels, the way I can relax, the way I can enjoy holidays, the way I just enjoy the little things in life. There wasn't any headroom for that before. And I don't have to listen to somebody tapping heavy on their keyboard or people that have their bloody buttons on their phone making beeping noises or people who like a bing when an email comes in. I don't have to put up with any of that. I can see a Royal Mail van backing up. And I'm recording this during my partner, who is employed. It's around his payday. And we get an influx of parcels when it's his payday, usually from Amazon, but this one's Royal Mail. So the doorbell's probably going to go in a minute. And he's at work, so I've got to go and get it. Yeah, it's a parcel. Hang on. I've got my Care Bear 90 on as well. Party's at the front door. Yeah, 3 parcels, all for him. Where was I? Well, let's just jump to the good part, shall we? Let me tell you all about becoming a virtual assistant. And you can decide whether it's for you. I'm out of breath now. Being a virtual assistant means that you run your life. You decide what hours you work. You decide who you work with. Yeah, hello. Goodbye, Mr. Billy Bullshit. You decide your income ceiling. Let me just remind you, the current hourly rate is £35 an hour for virtual assistants. If you're on, say, minimum wage, then you're going to have to work fewer hours to earn the same amount of money. And the best bit is you build a business that fits your life, not the other way around, because currently your life fits around employment. And we take that for granted. We just do that. I think that's what makes things feel shit. So in this episode, I'm going to give you a few things that you're going to probably need to think about before you start on your journey. So at the end of this podcast, you're going to find that the overwhelm just seems to have lifted, and you no longer have to keep putting the same search into Google and hoping it comes up with a simple answer, because Simple Catherine here is going to give you the simple answers. But one thing I want to say is being a virtual assistant isn't a trend. It is a proven path to creating a business that works for you. And it starts with just one decision. This episode is your honest, straight-talking guide to getting started as a virtual assistant. Number 1, what even is a virtual assistant? Now, I know you probably already know that, but let me get you to imagine somebody's asking you what a virtual assistant is. How long is it going to take you to explain that? So basically, you're like doing admin at home and stuff. So you're a PA, but virtual. So do you like one of them chatbot things? None of them. But I remember when I started, I had like a little mind map on my pin board, and I had virtual assistant in the middle, and then all these things coming off the side of it of what I was. I just needed to identify in a nutshell, what it was that I did. So I've done it. I've created that. So a virtual assistant is someone who supports business owners online, helping them with admin, content, email and diary support, tech tasks, social media, customer service, and so much more. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. In short, virtual assistants take the weight off business owners' shoulders so that they can grow their business. Now, I'm in the perfect position to help people become a virtual assistant because I'm not only one myself and have been for 10 years, but I've also got my own virtual assistants. So I know both sides of it. And as I briefly mentioned above, the average hourly rate now is actually £34 an hour, but it feels so much nicer to just round that up. So what we're charging now is £35 an hour. When I started 10 years ago, it was £20. That's gone up £15 an hour in just 10 years. Try and find me another career that's done that in the last decade. It just hasn't. So just think again how few hours you'd need to work to earn the same as your 10 till 2 or 9 till 5, whatever you're working. In fact, I've got a calculator online that I had created and it works it all out for you. It even takes out what you need to put aside for tax and national insurance, and you can put in how many holidays you want. And I will link to that in the podcast synopsis. So just a reminder, a virtual assistant is someone who supports small business owners with various tasks and services to help them grow their business. Now, you're probably thinking, yep, that's great. I had that sussed. So I help small business owners and I'm going to be charging them £35 an hour. So where will I find the clients? I can't tell you that. And that's not because I'm gatekeeping, because I was a really bad teenager and I can jump over any gate. But before I can even tell you how to get clients, there is one thing every aspiring VA must do first. And that's determine exactly what services you're going to offer. Don't stress and do not start looking at other VAs' websites as a firm indication of what sells. I'm putting those in inverted commas as well, because you can look at any website and be like, oh, so they're offering social media support and that one's offering social media support. I don't know anything about social media support. I won't be able to be a virtual assistant then, because everybody offers social media support. No, they don't. I used to do the everybody thing when I was 14 and wanted a new pair of Nike Air Max. I used to say to my mum, everybody's got these ones now. And in the whatever catalogue it was, Freeman's or whatever. No, they didn't. Nobody had it. I went to a very, very poor school. So don't look at others' websites and start telling yourself that you need to offer this, that and the other, because anybody can put anything on a website. It doesn't mean that they're selling it. And without seeing somebody's bank balance, you don't know what's working for them and what isn't. So I've made the process of picking your own services simple. And I've got a free guide and it lists over 90 services you can offer as a virtual assistant. And before you go and download it, there's 3 things that you need to remember and consider when picking your services. Number 1, only pick things that you're confident and competent at. And the reason for that is because a few people do end up with imposter syndrome when they're starting their business, and it holds them back because they start thinking, I can't do this. Well, you can, because you've picked services that you're confident and competent at. So just do it. Go out there and do it. Be the leader. And it, if a client's asking you to, or you choose to do email management and a client comes to you and says, okay, I want email management. That's all they're asking for. They're not asking you to solve world peace and, stop all wars and things like that. They just want you to do email management. And yeah, a lot of them could do it themselves, but they haven't got the time. They're too busy bringing in the money with their clients. So tick, confident and competent. Number 2, only pick things that you enjoy doing. So yeah, you might be really good, I don't know, crunching numbers, but you just find it stressful. So you don't want to offer bookkeeping. You don't want to offer anything like that. Or you might be a whiz with Excel, but you don't want to offer anything to do with Excel because you've had enough of it. You can remember Lotus 123. Bring back Lotus 123. Imagine looking at that program now How old would it look? But yes, you must pick things that you enjoy. Otherwise, it will soon become like your 9 till 5 and you'll be like, oh, I've got to do bloody spreadsheets for Doris today. Oh, I hate that. And you'll start not enjoying what you're doing. Honestly, still now, being a VA feels like getting my Fisher Price. I think it was Fisher Price. I had like that post office set and it feels like that. I've got a friend, right, lives around the corner. We used to play when we were little, like 5, 6, 7, something like that. She told me last year she used to always want to come around my house to play with the post office set and was gutted when we'd do something else. I'm not sure that, that's actually friendship. I think that's using. Shout out to Laura for using me for my post office set. Number 3, don't pick any more than 6 services. I expect you're thinking, yeah, but hang on a minute, that's rubbish because the more services I offer, the more potential clients I'll attract. No, see? But I'm not going to tell you why that is. You'll have to download my free download of the 90 services. And I will link again to that in the synopsis. But just to say, it's katherinegladwyn.co.uk/VA-services. I need to make that shorter. Okay, next bit. A lot of people come to me and say, I've got no experience of being a VA, so I can't be a VA. You don't need experience of being a VA to be a VA. VA is just your title. You're coming into this sector offering services that you're competent and confident at. You see how this is all aligning now? Even I'm impressed with my own alignment at this point. But there's another bloody Royal Mail van. I know he's gone by. You're just going to need a little bit of help with how to set up your business and launch it. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But another thing as well is, do you need any special qualifications to be a VA? No special qualifications, no degree, nothing like that. No business degree, no business experience. But there are a couple of traits that will stand you in good stead. Steed. Is it stead or steed? The first one is honesty. I know that is just natural for some people, but it also, when you've got that urge to really make a success of becoming a virtual assistant, you can sometimes start doing things that you probably shouldn't do. The minute you start making stuff up about what you can and can't do, services-wise, is when you start your cheese rolling descent. Because one thing us long-term VAs never do is say yes, then figure it out later. You can't. This is why I say you must be competent and confident in the services you offer. You will get instances where clients will say, do you know how to do this? And the answer, if you don't know how to do it, is always no, but I'm willing to have a look at it over the weekend in my own time to see if it's something I think I'll pick up easily. And these things just open up so many opportunities. The amount of software I've learned to use as a virtual assistant is incredible. I left employment knowing, well, I'd done like fire training, but to be honest with you, I look at fire extinguishers now and I think I don't know which one to use. I can't remember how to take it apart. I even struggle taking my Henry handheld apart to put another accessory on it. And I did do first aid, but again, all I remember from that is putting a bandage on my head and walking around the office with it after the training just to get a few laughs, really. And I also know that you're supposed to bend your knees when you pick up a box. And also lever arch files shouldn't be above your shoulders. I learn't that in 97, actually, when I worked for Bluebird Toys. But with regards to software, no, I didn't really learn anything. But as a VA, fucking hell, I'm incredible. I can build websites. Anyway, enough about me. You need to also be proactive as well as reactive, taking tasks from clients' to-do lists and proactively getting on with them without the need to check in every few minutes with the client. It's why so many business owners continue to use VAs, because we don't need to be micromanaged. We don't need constant reassurance. They want to hand it over to us. If you need micromanaging or you need things explaining over and over again, it's not worth the expense for the client, as it's costing them their hourly rate and yours. So you need to be proactive and reactive. And again, that's where the confidence thing comes in. I talk about confidence, and I know I'm not saying that you can't have any fear. I think fear is a good thing. If you've got fears and worries, that's absolutely fine. And I think it shows that you're taking this seriously. I really do. And I've got my Facebook group. At time of recording, there's about 10,500 people in there. And me and my team work so hard to keep it non-toxic. We work so hard to keep it a safe place for people. So if you've got any worries on your journey, come in there, ask the questions, and you will be surrounded with just support and people that understand and get it, and they're able to just guide you through any worries. But you do need an element of confidence as well. And we can help with that as well in the Facebook group. But it's why I say only pick services that you're confident and competent at. If you need constant reassurance and somebody to say, good job, every time you finish a task, then you might be disappointed, because a lot of the business owners that we work with are just so focused that successful business owners are just getting on. They're not sitting having virtual coffee chats or going to endless networking meetings. They're busy, they're focused, they're getting on. They appreciate you so much, and they appreciate that they don't need to get involved in what you're doing. They can just forget about that task completely. Another thing, and this is so important, and it's only something that I myself have recognised over the last, probably only about the last 2.5 years, is that we need to be competent following written instructions. A lot of our requests from clients will come through email, or they might put it on a project management system that you've both agreed to use, or it might be in a phone call and then you follow up with it in written instructions to confirm that you've understood it. So you need to learn to slow down and read things properly. I mean, we all make mistakes. We all misinterpret stuff. We all, even the clients sometimes will ask us to do things and we'll read it and be like, they've just made that up. That ain't even possible. I make mistakes, and I've shared a few throughout my podcast episodes. But if we keep making them and we keep using lines like, oh, sorry, I've not had my morning coffee yet, it will make the client think, do you know what, is this really cost effective for me? And also, if you do something wrong and the instructions were clearly there, then the client is well within his or her right not to pay you, because you've not done as asked and you've then lost time. So, all of that said, even if you've got all of those traits, I do recommend learning how to run a business properly. Because with just those skills, you're more than ready to be a virtual assistant. You just need to know how to get those damn clients. And like I said, there are quite a few steps you need to take before you can even put yourself out there. And if you don't take those steps, you'll tell yourself that you've failed, and you haven't failed. You've just not run a business before. If you had started and set up a successful business, then you would use those skills to become a virtual assistant. But I'm going to assume you haven't yet done that. And there are so many things you need to have in place in order for clients to feel safe giving over their hard-earned money to you. I always like to remind myself that although we are our clients' equal, there's no hierarchy in this VA world. We are incredibly lucky and fortunate that these clients trust us with their family's money, basically. It's money that puts food on their table. It's money that allows their kids to do perhaps weekend activities. It's money that allows them to have nice holidays, or to help an aging parent, with their health problems or things like that. So we are incredibly lucky to be given that opportunity. So that's why clients need to feel safe when they invest in us. And that's why there are a few steps you need to take first. And I'd love to put it in a podcast, but I can guarantee you'd miss things out, or I'd even miss things out. I'd forget to mention stuff. But that's why it needs to just be carefully laid out, and you can go through it step by step and in your own time. And that's why I created my VA Starter Guide. And it walks you through, like I said, step by step, no fluff, no bullshit. And some people have even said it makes them laugh too. So, but more importantly, it shows you exactly what to do, how to look legit and professional. We'll keep that in there. I edit these podcasts. I'm keeping professional in there. It shows you where to find clients, and how to keep them. And also, I am recording this off the back of the VA survey for 2025. And one of the top places to find clients for VAs is Facebook groups. And the VA Starter Guide has got a whole lesson on that to show you how to knock that one out of the park. But yeah, the VA Starter Guide, you can find that on my website. The price is going up by, I think, £40. Was I going to do it £40 or £50? I think I was doing it £40. I can't remember because that Royal Mail man has knocked me right off my thought process. I want to know what's in those boxes as well now. None of it's going to be presents for me. But yeah, the price is going up on the 1st of March. Now, before you run off, get my free downloads and things like that, this is going to be one of the questions that your family members will probably be asking and worrying about. You might even be wondering about this one as well. Why would a business owner choose a virtual assistant over an employee? I mean, what is minimum wage at the moment? I don't know, £12, something silly like that. And a virtual assistant is 35 quid. Why would anybody pay 35 quid when they can pay £12 an hour? They wouldn't, would they? And that's why being a virtual assistant is a scam. No, listen, right? So it's always been sensible practice for any business owner to have profit as their main goal, because without profit, they can't continue. And therefore, the most successful business owners, that is, virtual assistants are your clients, know that the power of investing, outsourcing, and not wasting unnecessary money is key to thriving. There's no way any business can evolve and continue to make profit until they start investing some of their profit wisely into areas of the business that is better for somebody else to do. Right? Yeah, but why would they pay 35 quid an hour and not £12 an hour? Because, have you got a pen? Employees have to be paid when they're on holiday. Virtual assistants don't charge when we're on holiday. I mean, we're making over 20 quid extra an hour. We're putting money away for savings. Employees have to be paid when they're sick. Virtual assistants rarely get sick because they're not in an office. Remember my cough? But when they do, we cover our own loss of income. Employees get pension contributions from their employers. Again, something that an employer needs to factor in. Us virtual assistants sort out their own pension contributions if you so wish. I still haven't got a pension. Instead, I just put it into savings accounts because, well, I want to access it, don't I? I don't wait until I'm 50 something or whatever it is. Employees have to have HR access, job descriptions, contracts, insurance, software, hardware, all purchased by the employer. They have to retain a HR person sometimes, which can be a few £100 a month, sometimes even more. Virtual assistants have their own insurance and their own contracts. Employees bring drama and office politics. Virtual assistants, we still moan, but we do that largely in Facebook groups on our own. We are women after all, but our clients don't get to hear it. All they get is charged for the time we're doing the task. Employees, listen to this, right? This was a biggest surprise for me when I became a full-time virtual assistant. But I used to sit there and I used to time all the work I was doing. And I'd only be working like 4 or 5 hours a day. And then I'd feel guilty. But if you think about your employed job, maybe start a timer if you're employed and think about looking at how many hours you are actually working. Stop the clock when somebody comes up to you and goes, I just sent you an email, Sandra. Did you get it? No, Dave, I didn't. No. Oh, let me go and see if I've sent it. Anyway, employees work on average 3 to 5 hours a day when they're a full-time employee, yet you get paid 7.5 hours for that day. I know, you can see why big bosses are got an attitude problem now, can't you? Virtual assistants only charge for the hours that they work. That in itself, that line there in itself, is why business owners choose virtual assistants over an employee. Now, a business owner may want you on a retained basis of 5 hours a week, something like that. If they were to get an employee, it'd be very hard to find an employee just 5 hours a week. But also, they are stuck with that employee. Have you ever tried getting rid of somebody? Oh my God. That's another podcast. With virtual assistants, we work so much more efficiently because there's no office drama. There's no, going backwards and forwards to the toilet or having a chat about who's having what for tea at night. They're only paying for the work that we do. As business owners, virtual assistants really appreciate the importance of maintaining a business reputation. And sadly, as an employee, we don't have a great understanding of what businesses need to survive. And we can often be lackluster in our commitment to the work and just feel like, no one's ever grateful for what I do. No, of course they're not, because you're only working 3 hours a bloody day and you're getting paid for 7.5. But yeah, they're also not taking into account that the atmosphere and the work is shit and, what have you. But I know what I choose. I choose running a business, and it's just so empowering. I can't stress any more than that how wonderful this life is, but also how achievable it is as well. If you're ready to stop waiting for something better to come along, to stop poring over Indeed jobs or thinking about retraining so that you get paid more money, or just waiting for life to just settle down a little bit, or if you want to get rid of that app on your phone that counts down to the next holiday because you just feel like you're always on holiday, then let's start with the first step. My 90+ services, the free download, which you can get on my website, katherinegladwyn.co.uk/VA-services. I'll also link to it in the synopsis. Now, this could be your sign. Being a virtual assistant could be the best decision you ever make. I'm going to leave you with 3 lines that begin with F: freedom, flexibility, and financial independence. They're not a dream. They're a business model. And for you, it starts right here. If you're ready to reclaim your independence, then subscribe to this podcast, because there is so much I'm going to give you. You've got to subscribe on your favourite channel, it says. What channel? I ain't going to be on the BBC, am I?